That's who you are. God made a spiritual being. That's who you are.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Beaverton. This is our regular Sunday service at 10 a.m. and I am so delighted that you have decided to join us this morning. I'm going to begin by reading from our Daily Word magazine. Let me put the glasses on. Oh, there. I open myself to spiritual understanding. When I feel frustrated by personal or professional challenge, or feel unsafe or concerned about a situation or event, I seek greater understanding. When I try to understand, I open my heart. Maybe I just need to gather more information or request the advice of someone I trust. If I am in conflict with someone, I practice understanding by listening with a curious mind and a loving heart. I grow in spiritual understanding when I discern and heed my inner guidance. Beyond conscious thought, spiritual truth begins to illuminate my consciousness. As I release all that stands in the way of understanding and stand firm in the love that calls it forth, I am guided by my growing spiritual understanding. And the quote is, "Your decrees are righteous forever. Give me understanding that I may live." And that's Psalms 119, 144. So let's use that, as a jump-off place into a prayer and a meditation. I'll begin with a prayer treatment, and if you'd like to just close your eyes, and from the prayer I will just go right into the meditation. So just sit back, be comfortable, relaxed, and if you choose, close your eyes. And know with me that spiritual understanding is available to all of us, to every one of us. It is so far beyond our intellectual understanding. Sometimes we cannot get a grasp or try even to understand. So turn within with me now, and just breathe into that idea that in the mind of God, nothing is misunderstood. For how could it be? There is only one truth. And so to open ourselves up to that oneness frees us, sets us free from fear, because in our oneness with God there is no fear. It sets us free from doubt. In our oneness with God there is no doubt. There is only that oneness, and out of that is courage. Out of that is faith. That faith that is the seed that is planted in you and awaits your awakening to it. You need not do anything. You already have it. And so we open that faith, allow it to be present here now. And as we have faith in the Word of God, as we begin to understand and grasp the Word of God, we are free. Free to be exactly who we are, coming from our highest place, sharing love and peace and joy with everyone with whom we come in contact. I release this word. I relax into that sea of oneness and love, and I let this go, and so it is. Amen. So we have a topic this week. Well, you know that this month, you may recall if you were listening in the first Sunday of April, that the theme for this month is appreciation. And so this title of this talk today is to not live in the past, to turn away from the past, because you are not going to find appreciation there that serves you. We can all remember happy times, and in the moment that can feel good, but what feels good is the fact that we've brought it forward. However, the same is true for sad times. For times of trouble and difficulty, we can also bring those forward. And they upset us and move us from our place into a time of difficulty and sadness as if we were living it all over again. So we don't need to go there. I want to tell you a story about this woman who did just exactly that. She told us that to begin with, she was in her office and she was crying her eyes out, and she felt like 20 months pregnant. You can imagine. She felt her husband had just left her. She had a 6-year-old child. She was about to give birth to another, and of course she wouldn't be able to work. And so another woman walked into that restroom and saw this poor dear in so much fear and upsetness. And she began to speak with her, and she said, "You know, I have a book I might give you. And if you read it, I am sure it will help you feel better." So the next day, she brought in the book, Hidden Power for Human Problems by Frederick Bales. I have to tell you, I remember the first time that book was given to me, and it was 20 years ago, actually. It was just 20 years ago that I was given that book. And I had read many other authors in New Thought. I was familiar with most of them, but this book was so clear that it immediately moved me out of fear. The moment I would begin to feel fear, I would go and run and grab that book and open it to any page. And the words of Frederick Bales set me free, because I drew them in. I called them in and wanted them to be real for me. And in that moment, they were. So this gal, this woman who was having her second child, she went on and she began to attend Unity with Joanne, which was who had introduced her to that book. And here she was 20 years old with a 6-year-old and a newborn, and had no guidance in her life at this time. And she began to rely on not just the people at Unity who reached out to her, but the principles of Unity. She began to understand that there was a loving God on whom she could rely. She began to understand that God was love. She had always heard God loved us. But this, that God is love, made such sense to her. It resonated with her. And so she went on with her life, and things were getting better. But at 2 years later, that little baby, that 2-year-old baby, passed away quite suddenly. And you can imagine how this set her back. And after a time of mourning, she picked up her Frederick Bale's book and read it again and again. And she was able to hear in that book something that she hadn't heard before. And it was, don't look back. Come into the present and don't look back. So in Ecclesiastes, it says, say not, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask. How many of us have called for better days? How many of us have said it was so much better back then? Where I hear it the most is with regards to children. With regards to children and adolescents and how they behave. And I was thinking about that before I came in here to do this message, that there was a time when I was a child, and maybe when many of you were a child, when we were taught to not talk back. We were taught to respect all authority, that under no circumstances were we to say anything that would sound disrespectful. And in my home, my parents said if they ever got a call from the teacher, we would be in serious trouble. Now, there was no, we would listen to your side. No, if the teacher called, the teacher was right and you must have done something wrong. What we know today about our kids is that isn't going to happen, right? Kids are allowed to speak back, to speak up when they are in a situation where an adult is asking them or telling them to do something that doesn't feel right. You know, we cannot look back and say there was no child abuse then. There was no child abuse talked about. We cannot say that women and girls were not abused. It wasn't talked about. So you have to look at the way things are today and recognize we have to pay the price for that. You can't tell children that you speak up. You speak up when somebody is giving you a bad time. You yell, you scream, you run away. And even if it's a policeman, you make sure, and run to somebody else so somebody else can confirm to you that, yes, that is a policeman. Is that not how we want our children to be? I think so. So we pay the price of them speaking their word. And sometimes in ways that we might think sounds disrespectful, but it just might save their life. So let's not look back for anything, to think that that was better. Today, there are laws that protect children in labor. There are laws, and many, many people who interact with children are what's called mandated reporters. If they see anything that looks as if that child isn't being taken care of, they need to report it. Those laws didn't exist when we were kids, when I was a kid. That's a family's business. That's what happens in that family. It's none of my business. There are laws that protect women and girls and men and boys, all of us now, that we did not have even 20 years ago. So, you want to go back? I don't. I remember when Barack Obama was elected, and in my group of friends, we had this thinking that, see how much better the race worries are. They're over. They're done. There's no more racial issues that this country has to deal with. We were not ready for what happened. The backlash from many people in the white communities, from churches, from senators, and from congressmen. It was scary. And then, we know what's transpired since, and racism seems bigger than ever. The point is, now we can see it. When we elected Barack Obama, we didn't think it existed anymore. We thought everything was better. Now, when I say we, I'm speaking of white people. I'm speaking of white people because I know that people of color knew better, but we didn't. We thought it was all good. And now we know better. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward from here. Nothing we can go back to ever in any area of our life is going to resolve what is happening now. What is always required is a larger, bigger understanding of who we are as a world of people, a world of life. And how do we go about creating a world that works for everyone? It requires a lot of patience, a lot of love, a lot of sharing with each other and listening, just as it said in the Daily Word today, listening to others and deeply hearing them in what it is that they don't like about you or like about the world or like about what's happening, whatever it is. When we attempt to understand, just the notion of wanting to understand changes the whole situation. It's not easy. As somebody who loves to be right, I will tell you, to admit that I don't know and to just let somebody else talk for a few minutes and opening my heart. When I remember to do that, I am never sad. I am never upset with myself for allowing that other person to have the last word. I am never mad at myself for having just gone quiet and listened and paid attention and heard what was behind the words. What happens when we look back is spelled out in Genesis 19:26. And the quote is, But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And she looked back at the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And she was immediately turned into salt. Salt is a preservative. And what happens when we look back? We are preserved in that time. We're not meant to be preserved in that time. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to accept all the changes and understand that in them there is good. In everything that occurs, there is good. It doesn't matter that you can't see it right now. There is good with what we are doing with this confinement right now. Good is going to come of this. I don't know exactly what. I don't know. I know I'm not having a difficult time being in my house with my cat. I'm not wanting to be someplace else. I am home, where I'm supposed to be right now, and doing the work that I'm supposed to do where I'm at. So that is all that can be required of us, Do what is required at this time. Take naps, go for walks, carefully, alone. But get outside in this sun. Oh my goodness. As Oregonians, we know how precious these days are. So embody them. Embody all the good that is around you. And may your days be good and long upon this earth. Namaste. So I have a few announcements from Unity of Beaverton. Right now, of course, we are closed. We have no groups meeting here. The food pantry is open, and you might want to let people know that anybody that you know that is having a hardship and needs food, our food pantry is open on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 to 4. As it has always been, and they are running it in such a way that it is keeping everybody that comes safe. So please feel free to let people know that. I have a noon conference call on Zoom every day. Every day at noon, Monday to Friday. I think that's what I was getting at. So where we gather together, we do a little prayer, read the daily word, speak for a few minutes, and then we talk about the message, about the word of the day, but then somehow it just kind of seeps into fellowship, and it's a wonderful time of talking about what's going on in everybody's life, and I hope you will consider joining us. If you like, the link is on our website. Right on the front page, if you just scroll down a little bit on the website, you will see the Zoom call is listed there. And I hope that you will join us. Then with regards to the future of Unity of Beaverton, the board is having our regular board meetings via Zoom. We are having our finance meetings via Zoom. And everything is being run as best we can. And it's pretty simplified, actually. So, don't worry about Unity. We are really taking care and protecting this church, so it is still here regardless of how long this confinement goes on. So stay in prayer with us and for us, and we will stay in prayer with you. If you have any prayer needs, if you would like to request prayer, please email me. My email is also on the website. It's very simple. It's Rev, R-E-V, Kathy, C-A-T-H-I, at unityofbeaverton.org. Rev Kathy at unityofbeaverton.org. And if you would like somebody to call you back with prayer or counseling, please let us know. I have forwarded the phones. Also, you can call the church. The church phones ring on my cell phone. So I am taking every call that comes in.
When I'm facing troubles, I call on you for a helping hand. For love to help me get by, to heal my heart, heal my soul. Oh dear God, I don't know anyone else but you. might have the power to heal my pain. You see, I don't understand why the world has to be so cruel, so cold, so unfulfilling, yeah. Although it's not that way all the time, sometimes there's a light in the darkness. Even though just a moment ago there was hurt and I'm lost, help me find a way back home. Oh dear God, help me to find the love inside of me for my fellow man, 'cause we all need forgiveness, yeah. We all need some love and understanding. Some compassion. Need to know that someone cares, someone's grateful for us. Reach inside someone else so I can share heart to heart. And let me not make the mistakes I made before. Let me show the way to some other soul who needs you, who needs to not feel alone anymore. Help me share what I have and what I can give. Let me feel gratitude, graciousness, and love for you, dear Lord. Dear Lord, my God. And if you hear me, if you feel me, if you can help me gain understanding why there's such a world full of suffering, Maybe we need to call on you, Lord, with one voice. Maybe we need to come together and share our troubles with one another. Hey. Oh dear Lord, I'm calling on you today. Calling you for some love, for some love, for some compassion. Let your spirit come into me and fill me up. Fill me up, fill me up, fill me up, fill me up. For my fellow man, help me understand. Let me help them learn how to forgive. Just like you. Oh dear